Hi, my name is Susie Krüger, and at the time that you see this, I will have just handed over the role of Director of Wycliffe Germany to Steve Impey. Today I want to share some thoughts on Sabbath with you. In 2023, Wycliffe Germany focused a whole year on the theme of keeping the Sabbath, individually and also as an organization. Now, often when I ask colleagues and friends how you're doing, I get an answer like, oh, not too bad, but it's really a lot to do, or, well, it's a bit too much right now, or there's so much work to do. And a lot of people around us seem to be tired, to be overwhelmed. We deal with friends who are depressed or even in burnout. And we thought, how can we look at this and how can we help our staff and our friends to live a more healthy work-life balance, which is kind of a hip word in the Western world these days anyway. And there's a lot of books about that and a lot of helps that you can look at. But we felt it's necessary and important to go back to the beginning and look at what God has to say about a good work-life balance. We learned a lot in the process when we talked about Sabbath and we looked at what Sabbath and keeping the Sabbath means today. Let me just share a few things with you that became very important to me or to us. One is the fact that there are two times in the Bible that the Ten Commandments are listed, and the Sabbath, of course, is one of the commandments, or keeping the Sabbath. So looking at that, the first time it is that keep the Sabbath because God also rested on the seventh day after creating the world. So Sabbath is part of creation order. We don't need to keep the Sabbath to gain salvation. It is part of what God put into the world and put into us, a rhythm of life and work and rest. But the second time the Ten Commandments are listed, it gives a different reason. It says, keep the Sabbath because I have brought you out of Egypt and out of slavery. I find that immensely interesting, thinking that Sabbath has something to do with freedom, not with being enslaved to other rules or new rules again, but freedom. And when we keep Sabbath, we proclaim that freedom in Christ. We proclaim we are no longer slaves to whatever around us, but we're children of God and free. And one other thing has become important to me as we went through this process, and that is that Sabbath has something to do with community. It has to do with keeping time together, with spending time together, spending time in community, with God, with friends, with family, with our church friends. It also is much easier to keep a Sabbath when you do it with someone else, when you don't do it alone. In Germany, we have that great privilege that Sunday is still a special day. Shops are closed, everything slows down, less traffic, it's quieter. And that's great because it's so easy to rest and stop on a Sunday when everybody else or most other people do it as well. So looking for ways of spending Sabbath and keeping Sabbath together as a family, as a team, is really precious. To be honest, it was a bit of a mixed bag, I think. On the one hand, I learned a lot about Sabbath, and I trust others did also. We made some small changes in the office, for example, spending our Monday devotion not with intercessory prayer, but with listening to God and worship, because we feel that is part of Sabbath, just spending time with God without an agenda. So we try to practice that on a Monday. But also I realized that I think for many of us, doing the work 24/7 and not stopping is really deeply ingrained. And I realize I still don't really keep a very good Sabbath rhythm. I feel it is so difficult to just let go of the responsibility and just let go of the worry and let go of the things that are piling up on my desk. It is a deep culture change that needs to happen inside of us. Just don't give up. I believe there's a lot of blessing connected with Sabbath. I believe it is necessary that we learn again to live this rhythm of work and rest that God has put into creation and that He called us to enjoy. And so just keep going and don't give up.